Hello, welcome to Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast, the podcast that emphasizes the leadership journey, the role of personal development to the leadership advancement, and also the place of mentorship in becoming an effective leader. You know, I always say on this platform that the people I bring to this podcast are practitioners. So in case you're looking for any theory, any kind of experiment, this is the wrong place. And we're here to give you practical tips that works. You know, we bring in practitioners, people that are really in the game. Whoever asks me that I would like to be on your podcast is not qualified to be on this podcast. This is not a podcast for self-promotion because I care so much about you listeners, and I want to give you the best that you need. My goal is to really help emerging leaders, people that are just coming up for in their leadership journey, to see what the price of leadership is really in. I want them to see the price to be paid, because awareness is the first, is the first step in the course of transformation. You need to be aware, you need to be aware first. So that awareness is what we want to create. And now to really, to provoke you to take steps that will help you to bring about the change that you need. So with me today is a fellow Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker, Coach, and Trainer, Velma Knowles. Hi, Velma. How are you?
Hey, Michael. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah. So, Velma, it's awesome to have you here. I know I've been on your podcast before, and you're such a valuable leader. And can you tell people something about you and just little things that they need to know about you? Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that most people don't know, if you're meeting me for the first time, one of the things you might not know is that like Michael here, I was born in another country other than the United States. We were recording this, but I was born in the islands of the Bahamas. And at the time when I was born in the Bahamas was under the British ruling. So I was born technically a Brit, right? Because we were under British ruling. And then in the early 70s, the Bahamas went independent. So by law, I became a Bahamian citizen. So I was born a Brit by birth, and by law became a Bahamian citizen. And then in 2006, by choice, I became an American citizen. So I like to say I've got a little identity crisis going on there, but culturally diverse from 3 different countries. And I'm very blessed for that.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's such a great one. She really took time to educate me. A while ago when we were having a conversation, I used to think all Bahamians are Black. One of my great mentors is a Bahamian, Dr. Miles Monroe. I call him Professor. So when she told me that about 5% of Bahamian are white, I said, wow, I'm not aware. Well, you just updated my knowledge in that area. Now, come to think about it, I believe, Velma, that everyone, has leadership potential. I was listening to Dave Ramsey, one of my heroes today. He's actually a mentor in financial space. And it said something. It says, leaders are built, they are not born. Leaders are built, they are not born. Leaders are built like a building, just like a building. There's no building that just found its way up without a builder. So leaders are built, they are not born. So, but the thing I want to emphasize is this, but there's a potential for leadership in everyone. That potential comes as a seed. So the building is really the obligation of everyone. So to be a leader, you have to be built. So the question I want to ask you is, at what point in your life do you become aware of your leadership potential? Because if we don't have awareness, we can accept responsibility for development. And the key to change is having an awareness that, oh, I have this, but this is in form of a seed. Now, the second stage is, now I need to accept the responsibility to develop this potential. Just like a farmer does, it takes that seed, it cultivates the land, it puts the seed in the land. Even after the seed is in the land, weeding, taking off the weeds, watering the seeds and all that. That's the thing.
Right.
That's the development of a leader. A lot of people, they don't see that. They don't see that. What they see is a delivery. Oh, they see Nelson Mandela at his prime. They see John Maxwell. They see, name all these leaders, Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, they didn't know the price that goes into. They see Winston Churchill. Those leaders, they were not born, they were built.
Right.
So what is your building phase like? At what point in your life did you become aware of this leadership potential that God has given you? And at what point did you begin to make an investment in yourself in order to develop that potential? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for the question. I agree with you and with Dave Ramsey and others that have coined the fact that leaders are made. They're not born. They are made from being built, right? So they build into it. And for me, I would say that I would take our listeners back to an early part of my life of growing up in the Bahamas. When you grow up in the islands, I came from a family that did not have the financial means to send someone to college. And I always wanted to go to college because I believed that getting an education and continuing to learn and grow and develop helped you on your journey, on your leader's pathway to achieve your goals. And so for me, getting out of high school, graduating from high school, I, like every other majority, went to work. And so I got the opportunity to work for a small nonprofit organization. And it was there, Michael, that I spent 5 years, and I was hired as an assistant. I would just, I used to say I was a gopher. I would go for this and go for that. I was just doing everything in the organization. But one of the things that I learned when I was there is that the leaders, the people that were influential, the people that were making an impact, not just in the work that they were doing, but in the lives of the people that they were touching, were people that had invested in themselves. And so it was at that pivotal point that I said, I don't have the financial means, but how do I get the education and the growth so that I could tap into my potential to do more, to be more, and to become more? So at that small nonprofit, I learned how you could ask people to give you money. And they were doing a fundraising campaign, a professional fundraising campaign. The goal was $3 million in 3 years. And I had the opportunity to learn and to be mentored by other leaders there who knew how to raise money, how to get people to give money for the cause of conservation, to protect the birds, the marine life, the environment, to protect it, and to be good stewards of the natural resources in the Bahamas. We raised $3 million in 3 years.
Wow.
And what I did was I learned that process of how you can achieve sustainable growth, whether it's growth, and at that time it was growth in the natural resources, protecting them through financial means. And I thought, if people will give money to protect birds, to protect natural resources and environment, would people not give money to help me to become more educated and to tap into my potential? And so I created a professional fundraising campaign for yours truly. And I designed a path forward to say, how can I tap into my potential? And in less than a year, I raised over $100,000 applying this proven framework. All of the money was financially, philanthropically given. There's no tax advantage. Like in the United States, if you're watching this in the US, you can get a tax advantage for giving a donation. But in the Bahamas, when you give it from the bottom of your heart. It's purely philanthropic. And so people invested in me, and I was able to use the funds to come to the United States to do an undergrad and my master's. And that education helped springboard me into the profession that moved me throughout my career and helped me to be a continuous learner. And today, while my education from a college perspective has changed and stopped, my education from books and mentors and other training and certifications continues on.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can see right there about you paying the price for development. Yours was academically, you've developed yourself. But in what way have you developed yourself as a leader? And who are the role models that has inspired your leadership journey?
Yeah. Okay. So coming out into the workforce, one of the things that, is good or as bad, depending on how you look at it, you get from education, the soft skills of how to truly understand someone's value and appreciate them when you are leading someone is an experience that you get from mentors, from people or coaches that come into your life. And I've been very blessed to have some good leaders that I would consider valuable leaders. And then I've had some that have not been good leaders, not valuable leaders. And so I've learned from both. And you have to consider your source. So one of the things that has really helped me, and that is books. And I've got mentors that I've never met. And one of those mentors is Dale Carnegie.
Wow.
So if you've ever heard of Dale Carnegie,
Sure.
Carnegie today, over 100-year-old organization.
Yeah.
And he wrote the famous book,
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, you're right. The famous book. And I got a famous book right here on my desk.
Yes.
If you've not read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, go get it.
No, don't walk. Go run and go get
it.
And get it.
It's such a great book.
Yes. And so he's been my mentor. I've learned so much. I continue. So that's one individual, and not just read the book. If you ever have the opportunity to really sink into a training session, it's where application, because you can read a lot of books, and we all do, and I love it. I've got a goal on reading so many books as well. But you read books and you will obtain knowledge. But until you put knowledge to application, you don't have wisdom. That's when you get wisdom. So, take the next step, get the knowledge, but then take the action, put it into play, apply it.
Yeah, you're right. That's why we call wisdom the correct application of knowledge. In fact, that's why I like to do training. I like to do mastermind. I just finished one now. We took a book, and I have a way of diving into the book and bringing it real. So I'm big about application. So I have what I called OMAR. It's one of my favorite time that people really love. Is called 1 minute application and 1 minute accountability report. So people come the following week to give an account on how they have applied what they learned. And I told them, when you come to the class to learn, to the training, it's like you went to the grocery store to buy something. And if you didn't process it, it's going to perish. It's going to spoil. So it's like an hunter going to the forest to get a game and just bring it home and just put it right there. The old deer is going to rot away. So when we took time to put into application, so I'm big about that. You're right. That's why going to mastermind is key. A lot of people say, no, I don't have to go for any training. I can read by myself. Now listen to this. If you are hearing me, you one of those. Listen to this research by William Glasser. William Glasser said, when we read a book, we get 10% out of it. So when you happen to hear the book in form of an audio, you take the learning to 30%. That means 20% more. He said, but when you happen to have a visual aid that help you to see the book in a different fashion, now you take learning to 50%. Say, but when you get in the room in form of training mastermind, the whole idea of mastermind came from Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich. So when you come to the mastermind class with a good facilitator, you're going to take learning to 70%. He said, when you begin to put what you have learned into application, he said learning goes to 85%. Now hear this. When you begin to share what you have put into application and all what you have learned with others, learning goes to 95%. You see that? So this is skill set. These are the skill set that I've learned, that I'm still learning, and I bring to my training, and people see transformation. So my wife, she's a theorist. She always challenged me that why should people come to your training when they can read the book of themselves? And because she challenged me, and I have to prove to her that I'm not doing a book club. So when you come to my training, you receive a unique experience. So that's why I call my training experience. It's an experience, and that's it. So I just want to confirm what you said, Velma. It's not about reading. It's all about application and holding people accountable for what they have read and encouraging them to put it into application. Now, the question I want to ask you is that what role as mentorship plays in your life? Now, before you answer that question, I believe everyone needs 4 things in order to succeed in every area of life. And I've taken time to give us an acronym LAMP. I'm doing so many things around that acronym LAMP. For instance, this podcast is LAMP, Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. Last Saturday, I just launched a new group, and it's a global community. It's called LAMP Global Community. That LAMP is Leadership Advancement Mentorship Platform. It's a community. It's a global learning community and a growth environment, to help people to develop the leadership, the leader within them, and how to become an effective leader. So the goal is to really create that environment, and at a very affordable cost that people can subscribe and be a part of that, where they'll be getting value every month. Now, but this LAMP that I'm talking about is based on the learning concept, a model for life. And I learned this from Chris Robinson, but he didn't call it LAMP, but I created that. I like to use acronym. So what is LAMP? Now, the first thing is this: in order for you to succeed in every area of life, you need to learn. L is learning. Learning is not just surface learning, but in-depth learning. Now, the A is application of what you've learned. So not just learning, finding a way to put into application what you have learned, just like what we just talked about the other time. Then the M is mentorship or coaching. Mentorship of coaching. Everyone, like Velma, she's still part of Maxwell Leadership. We all have it. We have different coaches in different lane, helping us to still build. We are still doing that. We're still doing that, because every real mentor need a mentor, because we need 3 realms of relationship: those that are above us, those at our level, and those that we have to pour into. So that's the place of mentorship and coaching. And I believe mentors delivers us from tormentors, and without a coach, you will become a victim of reproach. The last one is peer. P is peer, P-E-E-R. I created an acronym. It's called Positive, Encouraging, Empowering Relationships. So these are the 4 things. So I just mentioned mentorship as one of those. Now, the question is, Velma, is what role has mentorship played in your life? Because the reason why I like to emphasize mentorship on this podcast is, Ben Johnson said something. He said, he that is taught of himself as a fool for a mentor. He that is taught of himself as a fool for a mentor. So we all need a role model in order to play our role well in life. So what role has mentorship played in your own development as an effective leader? Thank you.
Yeah, no, great question. And I would echo that, having others that model the way, because that's really what mentors do. They model the way. They are someone that's gone before you, that can help you from where you are today to take you to where you want to be. And I always find it interesting that people have a struggle with a coach and a mentor. And coaches are someone that challenges you with questions so that you find the answer. So it's coming from within. But mentors are someone that guides you based on their own experience. And so for me, of course, being a part of the John Maxwell team has afforded the opportunity to have many different mentors, mentorship in specific lanes, because you have a mentor that is someone that understands the lane of speaking. So if you want to be a professional speaker, learn from someone, get a mentor that someone's in that lane. Or if you want to be a coach, get someone from that lane. If you want to be a great leader, get a leader that you see as great, being impactful. And so John Maxwell's been a mentor to me, continues to be. I learned from John and the other faculty members on that course. Also, those that are in the Dale Carnegie Institute. I spent several years after graduating from the class as a graduate coach and trainer for them, working and volunteering and supporting their students as they grow. So I was able to learn and be mentored by them. But, within my church community and within my circle of friends, those that are closest to me, or many of them are mentors, because it's all about the people that are closest to you that are going to make the biggest impact. So who are you spending your time with? Because whether you know it or not, they are mentoring you and they're, modeling a way. So make sure that you surround yourself. And so that's what I do. I make sure that the people that are in my life that I invested time in, those are the people that I'm learning from.
Wow.
And I've had the opportunity, several different groups that I'm involved in as well. And I've met so many other leaders during my course of journey that are further along that are mentoring me.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Very two quick question for you.
Sure.
And of recent, I've been studying the place of habits in the effectiveness of a leader.
Sure.
And the thing is, James Clear said something, the author of Atomic Habits. He said, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems or habits.
Right.
So therefore, it's not goals that determine success. It is the habit or our system.
Right.
Now, and I believe that what we do daily eventually determines what becomes of us as a leader. So I learned from studying John Maxwell that he do 5 things daily. And so one thing that he does daily, that he files things. Maybe he finds something that will be benefit and to any of his projects in the future, he files it away so that he won't lose it. The second thing that he does, that he like to think every day. He thinks every day. And the third thing that he do is he writes every day.
Right.
Then the fourth thing that John Maxwell do every day is he asks great questions. And the last thing that he do every day is he reads a book. He likes to read. He reads every day. So, and I created acronym for what John Maxwell do every day. FT-WAR. FT-WAR. But I haven't studied great leaders. I do 5 things every day. Every day I learn every day. One of the things I'm learning every day now is Spanish. Yeah, that was not my mother's tongue, but I'm learning Spanish. And I have to do it every day. Yeah. So I learn every day. 2, I find a way to apply what I'm learning. Because like I said, it's good to learn, but application is what creates your own personal experience. Right. And the third thing I do every day, I reflect every day. And when I reflect, I ask myself 3 questions. What went right today at the end of the day? 2, what went wrong today? And what can I do differently? Then the fourth thing I do every day, I prioritize, which is the principle of pre-decide. I list everything I want to do. I just list all those things down and I put it in order of importance. The one that are most important, they are the one that, like the 80-20 Pareto principle. So even if I didn't get to finish everything, because I've identified the most important one, I gave it the priority, it has to become more effective. And the last thing I do every day is I share. Sharing doesn't only show that we care, but it's a way to retain all that we're learning. So in the course of helping people, sharing, and to add value to people, we actually add value to ourselves. So my question for you is, what are you doing every day to invest in yourself?
Sure.
The second question, what are you doing every day to invest in others? Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So the first question around what do I do every day to invest in myself is, and I'll put it in an acronym for you because you seem to like those things. So
yes, I'm an acronym freak.
I think so. Yes, you should.
Yeah, you should know so that.
Right. So I'll pick the word pace. Okay. I'll pick the word pace for myself, and I'll say that the first thing I do every day is I pray. So I don't start my day without going in prayer, because I'm thankful for that day, and I'm thankful, and just express that in prayer and seek guidance. So I pray every day. The second thing is I take action. I do not, I'm not a student of sitting idle. So if you meet me, you know that I'm going to be doing and moving forward. Even if I fail, I'm moving forward, right? So I'm going to take action. The third thing is I'm going to connect. So I'm very, very intentional about connecting with others every day. How do I connect with someone to add value to their lives every day? And then the fourth thing is I encourage. I'm a big cheerleader. I'm a big encourager. And so the way that I do that is, I put out either through my podcast that I have, Your Leadership Chat, or I put out on my social media encouraging thoughts that challenge, that encourage, that every day I put a leadership thought in there throughout social media to serve as many people as I can to encourage them. So for me, every day, that's what I call pace. And that's what I do in order to pace myself on my journey, on my leader's pathway. I pace myself through prayer, by taking action every day, by connecting with people so that I can add value, and by encouraging and lifting others up. So that's what I would say, and trying to get an acronym in there for my good friend
I
Michael.
like that. I took it down. It's right here. I got it. That can't go away again. It's already caged like a bird. So what are you doing to invest in others?
Yeah. So in other people.
Yeah.
I would say that what I do to invest in other people, it's interesting, because I believe that leadership is an inside job. And so I believe that the best way that I serve others is that I help them understand their value. And so what I do every day is I coach or mentor individuals on how to find their value. What is their unique ability? What's their 1% that makes them different, that they could add value to the lives of others? So that's the big thing for me, is how do I help you uncover your value so that you could add value to the lives of others?
So
and
how do you help people to uncover their value? Because when we talk about value, listen, you're not just a talker, you are a doer. You're so big about this value. You talk about the valuable leader and all that stuff. So how do you help people to discover their value? Can you just give us a quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I do coaching like yourself. I do one-on-one or group coaching. So that's one thing that really focuses on the individual. But I write. So I'm a writer and author, and I wrote the book, The Valuable Leader, as a way that outlines 7 steps. And if you do those 7 steps every day, like James Clear says, you make it a habit. If you do the 7 steps that I've outlined in that framework of the Valuable Leader book, you will increase your growth as a leader, increase your value as a leader, and increase your influence. And when all of that happens and you do it every day, becomes a part of your life, you become the valuable leader. So the book is a great way.
Can you tell us those 7 things?
Yeah, you got to buy the book. No. I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you, Michael. I'm teasing you. You know that my heart is.
Tell us some of them. Maybe you want to tell us 2 or 3.
Well, you're gonna love this. So the 7 steps. 7 is the number of completion in the good book, and so the 7 steps that if you did them every day, they would increase your growth as a leader, increase your value, and increase your influence to make you a valuable leader. Is that number 1? You need to learn to listen. Now, people say that all the time. Leaders say that all the time. I'm a great listener. Leaders need to be good listeners. But how many people actually stop and listen? Because like John Maxwell says, if you ask great questions, then you grow and you develop. Good leaders ask great questions. Yeah. So in order to ask great questions, you have to learn to listen. And so I talk about listening and how important listening is to a leader, because it's like this, Michael, if you're the one doing all the talking, you're not learning anything. it's only until you remain silent and have others speak that you learn. So there's so much power in learning to listen. When I say that, it's very deep. People think it's, a surface, but it's very deep. And you dig into this in the book, and we talk about that in the book, and I give you action steps. Of course, you know that. The second thing is that you have to envision the future. If you don't know where you are going, then you will end up nowhere, because you have to envision, where do you want to go, so that you can get on the path to do the things to take you where you want to be. So my question or challenge would be, where do you want to be at the end of 2023? When we're recording this year, where do you want to be at the end of 2023? And if you can envision that, if you can get a picture, you can hold that image in your mind, then the things that you do every day, the daily tasks, the habits, the things that you form, the decisions and choices you make will move you in the direction of what you've envisioned. But without that clear picture, you are looking through a window and you see no possibilities because the window is closed. So I talk about envisioning the future as number 2. The third step in the book to become the valuable leader is you have to learn to take action. And so we talked about that here. We talked about the fact that if you just absorb information, if you just, be indecisive and not make the decisions and don't take action, even if you fail, you are not the failure. Even if you fail, you learn, right? And then you get on, you learn from that, and then you move forward. So fail fast, fail forward, but do take action every day. Apply yourself, take action. Fourth step that we talk about in the book to become the valuable leader is that you have to develop yourself. You are never going to be just a valuable leader tomorrow and stay a valuable leader. People say, well, I've been to training. I've had a coach, and I say, yes. And you brushed your teeth this morning. Does that mean you don't brush your teeth tomorrow? Or tonight, right? You have to take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And so every day you have to be developing yourself. And we talked about many methods to do that. You're passionate about mentorship and, reading, and then also applying what you learned. But we've talked about how you develop yourself, and you have to find the right things. Zig Ziglar, another mentor of mine, he, every time I get in my car, every time I'm in the car, I have a Zig Ziglar in my, in the radio station. And I've got him in a CD, and I'm listening to him. Why? Because he talks about Automobile University.
Yeah.
Okay?
I do that. I do that too. I do that.
Listen to someone, have them speak into you, all that drive time, right? So you have to develop yourself. And there's many ways to do that are not going to cost you a lot of money, but will put so much wealth inside of you. And that wealth, no bank, no company can take away from you. The fifth thing you do as a valuable leader every day as a valuable leader is that you have to engage with other people. Okay, you have to, and when I say engage, it's like you have to connect. You are not going to be a success by yourself. It takes a community of people. You've heard it said it takes a village, all right, to raise a child. It takes a community, right? So you are better together when you come together and you grow and you engage with others. That's why connection is so important, connecting with people and growing, because you grow your network, and your network is more important than your net worth. Your network will determine your net worth. The more people you know, right? They know people. So to me, it's all about engaging with other people. Okay. The sixth step in the valuable leader journey is that every day you need to reflect. Now, you talked about reflecting. You talked about sitting and thinking about asking yourself the question. So what did I do good today? I always say, what was a win today? How did I win? And the win is not necessarily for me, but if somebody else was successful, that's a win, because we are here to add value to others. So how did you win, right? How did you lose? What is it that you lost today that you wish you need to go and do tomorrow? Because don't forget about the things that you didn't get done or the things that you failed at. Learn from them or take them forward the next day. Okay. And so it's a reflection of what could you do better? How could you be better? How can you add value to the lives of others? And then the seventh step on the journey to become the valuable leader is every day serve someone. You see, we all have gifts, we all have potential, right? We are all blessed with, greatness and uniqueness and gifts and abilities, but the gifts are given to you, not for you, given to you for someone else. And so when you learn that you are here to serve others, and that is truly what servant leadership is about, is putting others, adding value to their lives. When I say serve others, I mean service in a way that is relevant and of value to them. Right? Because what is important to Michael is acronyms, right? I'm just teasing, right? But if you look at the 7 steps on this journey, I've made it very easy for you to remember to do them every day and apply them to your life, because application is so important for your development and your growth, right? It spells the word leaders.
So they actually are in form of acronym.
I knew you would have it.
Wow!
Just
That
for you,
was
Michael.
awesome.
Just for you. But to become the valuable leader.
So what does that L means? Let's recap. What does the L means?
Obviously, you didn't get the first one. The first
listen.
one, listen.
Listen. Yeah. Wow. Okay, the E is envision. Woo! Wow, that's good. That's good.
You don't see where you're going if you don't know what your direction is. How can you
Yeah.
lead anyone, and why would someone follow you?
And the A is action. Wow, this is so good. You just throw me in my water now.
I know. I knew you would be.
They actually have an acronym of leader. Wow.
And at the end of this book, at the end of the chapter of the book, there is there's a little action plan,
Yes.
Of course, right, for you to do. And I give you 3 things, just 3 things for that chapter. But I also tell you that you can go to, I give you a code, and you go to that code and you get 9 videos and that speak to the book, 1 for each chapter, including the 7 steps that are the framework to become the valuable leader, but also the introduction and the conclusion. So it's jam-packed with value, because I want people to understand the value that they have and to learn to really invest in themselves.
That's awesome. In fact, we can now go home now because we're already blessed. So the question is, how can people get the book?
Yeah. Okay.
How can people get the book? Tell us, how can they get the book, The Valuable Leader?
You can get the book on Amazon. So of course, very quickly, Amazon, you can get it at Amazon. And if that's probably the easiest way to get it. So you just look up my name. There's several other books. There's the Valuable Communicator. So this also has an acronym, but you'll have to read that book. Or bring me back on another episode, right?
Yeah, we will talk about that. In fact, I'm going to bring you back. We're going to talk about
You're a good guy, Michael.
Now, Velma, listen, I tell you, I have so much appreciation for what you just shared with, in fact, I'm going to tag this episode, The Valuable Leader. Thank you. And there's so much that you really have to offer. So let's say somebody is watching you, listen to you, and say that, how can they connect to Velma? So how can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Sure. Well, I would invite them to go to velmaknowles.com. So that's the website. And there's a way that you can reach out, connect there. There's some free resources they can download. So there is the 4 drivers of the 4 valuable drivers of leadership. There's a bunch of free stuff, but velmaknowles.com, or you can go to my YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/Velma Knowles, and you'll get to see Michael's episode on your leadership chat, and that is released as well.
Wow, that's good. Wow. Velma, you just really did. I mean, you brought so much value to this podcast. I want to say thank you so much for your time. You really connected all this thing. You were just doing it. You were doing this thing. I tell you, you are a doer. You are a practitioner. And we want to say thank you for your time, for all the value that you added to our listeners. We really appreciate you. We value you so much. And here we go, listeners. I believe you're not disappointed by our guest today. She's such a valuable leader, added so much value. I was just taking notes. In fact, I got notes. I was turning the page and taking the note because listen, I love to learn. Because there are 4 L's of a leader. A leader must learn, a leader must love, a leader must listen before he leads. The leading part, L-E-A-D, is the last, and that's what many people want to do first. But there's a bit, a learning part, a learning, a listening, a loving before a leading. This is what makes leadership effective. So thank you all for joining us today. I believe it's been a great episode for you. Till I come your way next week with another valuable leader, with another great mind, great leader. This is Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast, letting you know that leadership is not just what you see on the surface. There's so much that we are not aware, because every leader that we see has paid a price. And that's what we talk about in this podcast. See you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.